Wagwan amazing people, my name is Anne Murugi and I am proudly Kenyan. You're listening to For Better 254, a space for young Kenyans to learn and learn with the name of bringing forward a better Kenya for us and for generations to come. Yo, hey, how you doing? How's everyone doing? How's your week been? I hope you had a good one or at least are holding on. I myself, I am holding on. At the moment, a lot of things are going on in my life. Like, life is just laughing at me. But I am trying to stay afloat. Yeah, so we're in this together, whatever it is you're going through. And if it's good, yay, at least some of us are winning. Welcome to today's episode. I am so much excited for this episode, and as you can tell from the title, today we're gonna have a little of a joyous moment in this episode. I hope you'll find it joyous. As you might also know, we're already in the month of February, and through the years among this time, at least in the social media world, it's a month where there's a lot of talk about Black History Month. And I know in our country, in Kenya, we do not really have a month where we celebrate our history. But I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I think it's very important for us to know some of our history and talk about it. And if you follow me, I do have a quote that very much resonates on the socials, which is by one amazing person who is also a joy of African history, Mr. Samora Machel. I hope I pronounce it right, where he says, "But we can only know the present through the past, and if we know the present, then we can see what the future can bring." And so I thought, you know what, we do not necessarily celebrate Black History Month in Kenya, but I'm gonna use this month and let us know our history because I think it's important. So be ready for a lot of history knowledge this month. And I think as far as we've gone as for Better 254, clearly I do like to bring up history a lot. So yeah, I guess we keep on it. And so yeah, with that said, I thought today I'll talk about some of the African history that brings me joy and hope it does the same for you or gives you some good thought about your history. So without further ado, I am gonna start. I think at the moment I am so amazed at the socialism that existed long before, the Ubuntu philosophy that keeps on emphasizing on the interdependence of human beings and our responsibility to others and to the world around us, and the whole idea of umoja that is in our national anthem, and the concept of ujamaa from the Tanzanian people. I think it's so amazing that people lived knowing that they could live in one compound, they could share resources. The whole idea of hunger was like yoni nini. They didn't know what that was. And this is actually something that existed in our cultures not long ago. And it's just so hard feeling to think of how people cared for each other, and despite all of it, they still thrived without problems. And as I talk of community, I'm also thinking of the evening storytelling that used to happen. Yo, me thinking about that whole concept, I'm like, this sounds so dreamy, so dreamy. Able just imagine you're sitting around some fire, listening to your grandparents or an older person of the clan telling you some story of some giant person somewhere or a trip somewhere to a place you've never been, and all of it has like this beautiful hidden meaning that is about the life you're going through or something that's just happening in the world. Like, yo, we're talking about soft life, but this is soft life. It feels so warm to be in such a scenario, and it just makes me so happy. So yeah, that's my first African history joy that makes me really happy. uh Another history point that makes me so happy, so very happy, is about this woman called Wangua Makeri. Like, this lady used to sit on men's back and make commands from there. How badass is that? How badass is that in this patriarchal society that we're living today? Yani, the whole idea that a matriarchal society was reinforced is so helpful. It's so hopeful and so helpful at the same time. And as I talk about that, also next month is the Girlies Month, and we'll be celebrating all the women who did amazing things for us. And I'm also very excited when I learn about all the young people, the students who are the forefront of liberations of black people in different countries. I am talking about the Steve Biko of South Africa. Yo, the person was so young when he began talking about the possibilities of liberations in South Africa. I'm talking about Patrice Lumumba of DRC, who we recently were commemorating his death. I'm talking about Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. Like, Thomas Sankara was one brilliant person, was one person who I think if half of our African leaders just try to imitate him, we'll be very, very, very far as a nation, as a continent. We'll be very, very far. And of course, our very own Tomboya, who was very much there fighting for Kenyan rights, very amazing. And as I think about that, there's also very, very many women, very, very nice. Can you tell that's what's going on in my head? If you know, you know. If you don't know, oops, that passed you. But yeah, the very, very women who also were very much in the fight for our struggle is also something that makes me really joyous. And as I talk about that, I am also thinking about all the different revolutions that were orchestrated across black people. Like, people back then were so brave. It's amazing. And as I talk about these revolutions, I'm talking about our very own Mau Mau. You just imagine dating a Dedan Kimathi. Huh? Yo. And the Majimaji rebellion in Tanzania, the Zanzibar revolution against the Arab movement, it's all so amazing. And a very recent, not recent, but another, yeah, very recent joy of mine is the calendar system. If you had my other episode, I was saying the fact that it doesn't matter, you can start at whatever point you want. And knowing that there was a calendar system, for instance, the Yoruba calendar system, which says the year begins in June, and this system of calendar lasted for over 10,000 years. Like Sisi to call 2023. These people are in the 10,000th year of the world. How amazing. And also the very common or known Ethiopian Eritrea calendar. And I learned that they call their New Year Enkushtata. Imagine me celebrating Enkushtata today. What a joy. Yeah, yo. For me, this is so amazing. And there's so much more history on this. And it's just a wow to know that for us to exist today, there is so much badass, so much braveness, so much soft life sitting around a fire, experiences that have happened for us to be here today. And I think it's something worth celebrating. And so we are gonna celebrate. And a very much more recent history that makes me really happy is the different brilliant African writers telling our stories. And I'm on these journeys of finding more and more African breeds, and I can tell you, I am loving them. I am loving them. People are really representing us and talking about our stories, and it's there's something about reading a book and you're like, oh my god, I can see that. I can see that. It's just so amazing. And another joy that is also very recent and in terms of arts is the fact that our music, our arts are dominating different places. It's so liberating and so joyous to just go on YouTube and find a whole Kenyan playlist. So amazing. Or to just search for a movie and find a Kenyan movie, a Kenyan series, or another African country movie or series. So liberating and joyous. Yeah, so I think those are like my little joys of this beautiful African history of ours. And it may have sounded a bit general, but in the upcoming days on the socials at For Better 254, we will be learning more about some of these events and those which you share with me, hoping that, as I was talking, you're like, oh, damn, I remember this one. And yeah, I hope you'll be sharing that with me. I think it's really dope to sit back and look back at our history, know our history, more so in this world where we're just moving on, short living, where we are told the history is in the past, focus on the present. But I think whatever you never address comes to bite you in the ass in one way or another. And if I think about it, more so for us Kenyans, Africans, who are very disconnected from our history, it's very brave for us to decide to sit back and look back at the chapters before us and learn something. Because, as you know, globalization is taking place. And I think if we keep on going unaware of our power through our history, we continue being slaves to this system that continuously exploits us and oppresses us. And I think that's not cute at all. So, yeah, let's celebrate this month as much as it is not common to do in Kenya and in the continent, because if we know our history, we can be able to understand our present and you can be able to predict or design what we want our future to look like. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. I do hope you've learned or you've gained something or you've had fun listening to this. If not, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You can send me an audio of you having fun. No, I'm just being extra. So I just hope you've had fun and you've learned something. And oh, for sure, this month we are dedicating it to learning our history. Yeah, and I hope you will enjoy all of it. Until next time, peace and blessings.